So today's panel, we are asking a question which has bothered many of us. I think very few people have asked it. We keep talking about women founders, and we also keep saying things like we want people to be gender neutral, gender blind. We don't want them to see us as women, we just want them to see us as professionals. Are we being hypocritical when we say that, oh, I will accept an award because I'm a woman CEO, or I would accept funding from a woman-centered VC, or are we, and therefore hurting the cause of gender equality? Or if we say, no, just treat me like a CEO or a founder, don't say that I'm a woman founder, just say I'm a founder and treat me like everybody else, am I then hurting the cause of gender equality? So is there really a space, have we outgrown it? Have we outgrown the space of treating women founders differently than just any founder? Or is there still a need for it? I'd like to start with Uma, perhaps.
Yeah, Joe. I think, personally, I think we have crossed that line. We don't need to be called women founders. We are founders who happen to be women. I think that works best because I think women, personally, in my view of things, I think women have it way too light. Men are usually compared against the Facebooks and Twitter, whereas a woman, if she has a turnout of say 1 crore, we're like, oh, a woman got one, she's like she's already come out of the house, she's doing some business, she's already at a 1 crore turnaround, which I think, kind of defeats the entire thing of, trying to bring women equal to men. So personally, I think we are past that stage where, you need women to be pushed up and recommended and have separate forums, have some kind of a percentage for them and say, oh, because you are a woman, maybe, you get a chance to meet a VC. I think we should avoid that more than, and I personally think it's never worked with me. It's best that I'm just known as Uma, and then, yeah, by the way, like I happen to be a girl.
So you actually in the fashion industry where you're in a minority, but at the same time, you have co-founders who are women. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky question. Can I pause and maybe after Ramya I can answer? I think
whatever you say will be treated against you.
I'm still wondering why I am sitting here. So I think first of all, so by the identity that I go with mostly is that I am the founder and CEO of a company. As a founder, as a CEO, my primary responsibility is to be fair. I have to be fair, and fair does not mean equal. So I have women in my founding team, my women co-founders, right? So do I have to do anything special for them? Let's say if they stay late night, do I have to arrange for their security? When I look out for an office, I took in a tech park because it's safer than a remote location. Now, I don't know how you guys see that, but I as a founder should do what is important to make the workplace a fair platform for both men and women to compete. Like more than 35% of my team is women. Even within development, like 35% of our engineers are women. So we do go outside and do certain things to make sure that they can work as comfortably as men, right? Now, do I just turn a blind eye and not have a women's toilet or something like that? I don't know that, right? So we do certain things to make sure that we provide a common platform. I know I'm giving a lot of food for you. I know you are going to.
Say, what does it make you feel as a male founder in an industry where you probably had to struggle to be accepted, which is quite women-dominated? That there are other industries where women are getting
so I do feel intimidated. I take my women co-founders when I go to fashion shows. I'm afraid to go alone. Same way, I would feel like there are places where they are afraid to go alone, and I will go with them.
So, Ramya, we've heard from Uma that she'd rather just be known as a founder, and we've heard from Sujayath that he'd rather just be fair rather than equal. What's your take on it? Would you like to be known as a woman founder?
No, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I've sort of been in male-dominated environments all my life, and it has not affected me one way or the other. And I will continue to be known as a founder. I don't think anyone really sees me particularly as a woman founder, etc. So I don't think it happens. I don't think it's likely to happen now beyond this stage. But I think to the broader question, which is, which of these two is helping the cause versus hurting the cause, which was your original question. And the way I see it is, yeah, for me there are, as we were just mentioning outside, there are market-making initiatives and there are market-destroying initiatives. And I would personally support market-making initiatives. So if a CEO says that he would like to set up his office in a tech park because it's safer and therefore he can attract high-quality talent among women also, I think that's a market-making initiative. It allows him to access high-quality talent that he may not have got otherwise. On the other hand, if he recruits someone because she's a woman, that to me is a market-destroying initiative. Similarly, if a group of investors feels that their social circle consists largely of men, and therefore they would like to host a dinner where they are able to see a lot of women founders because they feel they might be missing out on the next big what in that case, then I think that's in their best interest as investors. On the other hand, if they then go ahead and make the investment because it's a woman, that's a market-destroying mechanism. So for me, as long as you're acting in a manner that's market-making, it serves the purpose for everyone.
So that's a very nuanced take to say that there is a market-making or a market-breaking way of doing this. What happens to a public's perception, for instance? Say Uma gets profiled and funded by a woman-focused VC. Rather than a VC that says we invest in women companies, women-founded companies, as opposed to, how would you feel about that vis-a-vis saying, what does it mean you can't attract the normal capital?
Okay, two things. I personally wouldn't want to take it. Personally, I would say no. If you have invested, just because you want publicity that you have invested in a women co-founded company, sorry, that's not the place. But if I stood equal and then, you took me, then it's great. That's the way I would like to go about it. But at the same time, I think if I'm getting a particular prize or some kind of a behavior because of my capability, that's what I would want to hold up with me. But something which is because you're a woman, you're sitting here, you're there, I mean, we're just defeating. Like her thing, we are now defeating the whole purpose of trying to push up women by defeating the whole thing, saying, we need some kind of a quota system in that sense of a quota, saying, okay, let's start calling more women here, funding women companies and things like that. So personally, I disagree.
So if we take this as a, I love what you talked about as a quota system. And there is a sense of, I'd like to actually, before we move on to the next part of this discussion, I'd like to see how much of the audience would perceive a woman-focused investor or a woman even focused PR being something like a quota system that, actually you say, oh, but she was a woman, therefore she got it. Can I see a show of hands? How many people would think that that is actually bringing down the quality of what a woman does? And how many of you think that actually that's absolutely necessary, absolutely fair, it's just leveling the playing field? Interesting. So not just our women founders, but also many of our male audience members agree that there's parts of it. What if, of course, you're very, very well funded, but what if you were funded initially in the days when you were still struggling? You have women co-founders. Now, as a male co-founder of, a startup, if you were funded by a startup focusing on, startups with women and co-founders, how would you feel about that?
I think it all comes to the self-confidence, right? If I have complex, and I say I will not accept this just because you are giving it to me for some reason, because I am from Tamil Nadu, because I am from village, or because I belong to a certain religion, right? Do I take it or not becomes more of a personal decision in terms of if I feel I more than deserve it, then probably I will take it, right? So similar way, I think even when women get opportunities, should they always think about, hey, is this coming because I am a woman, or should they be just straightforward and have self-confidence that this is coming because of my capabilities, so I'm going to take it, right?
Fair enough.
I will keep giving you more and more food to make this interesting.
No, absolutely, fair enough. So you talked about, I'm from a village, and that boils down to a question of identity. And I think also to a lot of these women, it boils down to a question of identity. For instance, if I look at this panel, you could say that, we have 2 IITians and 2 non-IITians sitting here. You could say you have 3 MBAs and 1 person with patents sitting here. You could say you have 1 person who's bootstrapped, 2 people who are bootstrapped in their ventures, 1 angel funded, 1 VC funded venture sitting here. But most people will be looking at this panel and saying, there are 3 women and a man sitting here. So it becomes a question of identity. We could say 1 person from a rural background and 3 people from an urban background sitting here. So there's so many ways to see us. It's about how we want to be seen very often and in our professional life, and what we want to be known for. That each of us has. So can I ask, so for instance, would you like to be seen as a male founder, or a founder from a village, or a successful founder of a VC-backed startup?
See, first of all, I studied in a village school, right? I might not be from the village, and I did got my undergrad using village quota. That time they had that. But when I did my postgrad at ISB, I did not need that, right? But that was helpful for me to get there. So if few more people see that a village quota person or somebody without IIT degree can get funded by one of the top VCs, and they also start up and they come up, I think it's doing good for the society.
Absolutely. And what if you were getting funded by somebody who was only funding people with a village background? Would it do the same confidence boosting for the people from the village?
So think about it the other way, right? Let's say I come from a village and I want to uplift more people from there, and I set up a startup fund for that. Nobody accepts it because of this reason. It's market destroying.
Absolutely. So
if no one accepts it, probably then it's not a good fund. If no one accepts it, probably it was
because
not
of
a good
that
fund.
complex that, hey, that is set up by that is set up for these kind of people, so I'm not going to take it. It's like people don't study in government school because it's set up by government. Like, all I'm saying is, like, be fair even from that perspective. Like, if the fund is trying to do, it's absolutely okay if Uma feels that let it go to a deserving woman. I can compete in a general quota. That's something I respect.
Fair.
But if you don't take it,
Fair.
because then you are destroying the purpose of that fund as well.
So I think the same
Joe,
question.
we didn't hear your perspective on that.
So I'm quite pragmatic. I'm a startup person. Exploitation begins in startups. I think I'll exploit whatever you send my way. So if somebody gets me something because it's a woman, I take it. However, I take it under duress. I mean, I take it not by, I would feel like I'm selling my principles. I wouldn't feel like I wouldn't feel good about it. Like you said, when you get some funding from a top VC, it makes you feel that, look, I came from, I had to do my undergrad in a village quota, but I got a top VC funded, right? So I have cleared that barrier, and that is inspiring. I would want to be inspiring to women. That is a part of my identity when I mentor women. But I don't necessarily want to achieve something that is only at a level of this is good for women. So I had a CEO, for instance, when I was at Pearson, my CEO was a top 50 Fortune 50 CEO, Marjorie Scardino of Pearson Group, who also was the CEO of The Economist. And she would refuse to go to any women CEO awards or women CEO thing. She's like, I'm a kick-ass Fortune 50 CEO. Call me for that. So we're not alone. There are a lot of us who feel like we should be recognized or held up to the same standards.
No, I mean, I may not, for example, take funding from a VC that is focused only on women founders. But the reason to me would not so much be that it will undermine my confidence in any way. As Sujayath says, why should my confidence get undermined by the purpose of your fund? But I would not take it because that's not the organization I'm trying to build. That's not the set of companies I'm trying to attract. That's not the next round of funding I'm trying to attract. I don't want the next round of funding to come in saying that you got funded because it's a woman. And that's not just, you know, women. So for example, one of the big debates we are going through as a startup is, should we be taking funding from funds which are impact focused at the cost of commercials? So are we okay with that? Because we are seen as an impact focused company. Now, there are funds which are impact-focused saying, okay, you know, it's okay for commercial returns to be lesser. Now, should we be doing that, or should we be going down the path of saying a fund which also wants full financial returns? And that, again, goes back to what is the organization you're trying to build. So these are, to me, choices. And I think the word pragmatic, I mean, it's okay. I mean, pragmatic is a tactical word in my mind. But these are long-term choices. And if you're playing sort of the long-term game as a founder, I mean, as a woman, male, whatever founder, I mean, if you're playing the long-term game, then each of these to me is a choice on what is the kind of organization you're trying to build. And if it's affecting your own confidence, frankly, I mean, then one should not be a founder. Then there'll be lots of other things that can affect one's confidence in that case.
Okay, so coming back to the question of, let's keep funding aside. Let's keep, say there was a competition for women CEOs, or there was a competition for, so we are going to recognize women in tech or women founders, or men in fashion. So as a quid pro quo, would you, it becomes a question of identity, because when you're recognized as somebody, right, that becomes who you are in some way. That becomes a validation of who you tried to be. And you tried to be a recognized CEO, or you tried to be, etc. So if there was a competition, or if there was an award that somebody wanted to nominate you for, what would, Ramya, starting from you, and then?
So I think, so I've gone through this in my life once, long back. Of course, that was at a much younger age, and you know, one's opinions change over time. But long back when I was in IMCAL, there was an award that was given by Nestle for the best young business manager of the batch, and also an award given for women in management. And both were big cash awards, which at that time were like huge amounts for most of us, you know, doing MBAs on loans and all. It was a big amount. And I asked them, so why do you have a separate award for women? And their answer was, most women don't get enough support from their families to do an MBA, and therefore they have taken a much tougher path to come here, and we believe they deserve to be specially recognized. And to me, that answer was enough to say that, okay, then I should not apply for that award, because, I mean, I've got equal, if not more support than my brother to do whatever I wanted.
So what he was saying?
And therefore, you know, there's no need for me to apply for this award. For me, it seemed like, it almost seemed like insulting my parents to apply for that award. So I said, I'm going to apply only for the general award. So that year, then both the awards went to women, because I got the general award and a woman got the women award. So both the awards went to women. But having said that, I don't disagree with the purpose of the award. I don't disagree that, yes, if there was, I mean, there's a batchmate of mine, for example, who her parents tried to get her married when she was in 10th standard, and she fought her way through it and came to IMCAL. If she could get recognized for that, I don't see something wrong about it.
So, anything either of you want to add?
Yeah, I think like I have a similar instance like this, where when I used to work in a corporate, we used to have these Women's Day celebrations. I used to be like dead against it. Everywhere else, we want equality, and then when it comes to Women's Day celebrations, you have balloons, you have cakes, you have this. I mean, we are like defeating the entire thing upside down after some time. But then when you go into meetings, you go to conferences, you want women to be treated equal. So I think it serves a purpose in certain cases, like what she pointed out. But given the state at which most of us are, I think it just, you know, defeats the whole thing backwards, saying, okay, you have a Women's Day celebration, you talk about, you know, how glorified, like, you know, like we are, what sacrifices we do. I think it just kills it back, saying, oh, you are different, we need to recognize you. You already set yourselves away from the rest of the crowd. So I think it's a strict no from my side, whatever pragmatic it is. I would say no, forget it. I'm not in this game.
And you can afford to because you're
Yeah.
profitable.
Yeah, I'm just, okay, it may not happen, I may not get that award, but I wouldn't want to compete in a space where it is just women and, it could be a different criteria, say, people from a urban background, people from rural, people from South India, North, you could have any other thing. But the minute you are actually within the category, you are trying to split it into women, men, I think you're kind of, pushing it.
So he talked about having 35% women in his team. Would you do any affirmative action to have more women as the CTO of your company in your team?
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't hire a girl because she's a girl. No.
No, but what would you do? For instance, he didn't talk about...
Yeah, see, all the things that we talked about there, I want a ladies' loo to, it should be in a safe place. And these are, as women, there are certain physical limitations of, what you can protect yourself, do certain things. But more than that, would I hire because it's a girl? No way. And then because I make a hiring decision? No way, I wouldn't do it.
Would you be worried? And I can ask this only for a woman.
Yes.
So really honestly, would you be worried because she's an unmarried girl and may not be as serious about her career when she gets married?
No way.
So
I am actually worried about guys who come to my team because, women, girls, over time, I've seen them being more dedicated to work compared to guys at that age, at least at that early age, the guys are.
I think even that is wrong, right? As a founder, you have to be fair.
I agree, I have to be fair.
I agree. No, no, you were asking about, would you be worried? No, our interview process is like rigorous enough that you won't clear it if you are not serious, whether you're a guy or a girl. So there's no, generally, yes, every new employee, we are worried that, it won't work out. That's a different matter. But no, nothing specific to.
I think you might not go and hire deliberately women or something, but let's say you know that you have few strategies. Let's take hiring strategies, right? One strategy could land up in more women. And another strategy could land up in more men, right? So we have faced such situations. Obviously, the bar is going to be equal. The effort might be slightly different, right? There are certain tier 2, tier 3 colleges which are mostly women because the college is good, but because it's in remote location and people don't want women to kind of go out and study. So it has, let's say, majority women, right? We do go to those colleges, which is not preferred by other companies. And I think that's even good for a startup because we get some talent who is loyal and we are able to go and tap into some colleges where we need not compete with other companies, right? So as a strategy, I think we should be okay to put some more effort if we kind of get good women workforce, right?
Yeah, to me, if you act in self-interest, things will work out. So for your own startup, you decided that this is the best strategy and you went there, and that should.
But so in this case, yes, I did. But what if I also did it just to make sure that I want at least like 40 or 50% women? Let's say the bar is same. I'm just putting some extra effort to get that.
So there actually I'm a lot more on Uma's side, which is that I think you may say that the bar is same, but it becomes very hard to believe that the bar is same if your percentage hiring becomes different from your recruiting pool. So, the kind of thing that you said, for example, talking about McKinsey, my previous company, where a lot of people used to ask us, why do so few women join McKinsey? And the simple answer was that we are recruiting from the IIMs and more or less our entry reflects the percentage that is there in the IIMs. It's not different as a percentage. And the bar, it just mirrors the campus. On the other hand, when we go to a national law school to recruit, we find that yes, we happen to get more women and that again just mirrors the pool over there. So to me, it's that kind of thing which is...
I think it's not just that talent is not available, right? It may take hard work. We don't go to IITs, right? It may take more hard work to go and get without lowering the bar, right? But is it not okay to put that extra effort? Assuming we are not doing it just for the percentage. I don't care whether it's 25 or 35 or 40. Just making sure that we do some extra effort, that we bring some women as well.
So my first boss in the Tatas, he had a startup within the Tatas. He used to actively hire women because he used to say, I get the best talent and they stay loyal. Because amongst the male pool, I would not be able to attract the best talent, but because I know how to manage it. But then he very actively also challenged us. He did not make it easier for us. He made it harder for us. So because he had the best people in the women, he would push us much harder. He would, but at the same time, he may help us find childcare if we needed it. But the bar was always very high. Even then, it didn't matter. You know, the bar for us was much higher than for the men. But when one succeeded, the corridor said that it was one of the women.
Why do you care about the corridor?
No, I don't care about the corridor, but I do think that that's not the way you want to build your business.
What
so
I would say
ICICI,
is like,
for instance,
so I think the primary issues, I think everybody's caring about what other people think about you. So I think, again, it goes back to like your self-confidence, your work, you are founders of companies, you are doing some great job, period. Right? Why should you care about how the world thinks?
Absolutely, and I don't think he did anything wrong. I'm just saying it may not have helped the gender equality cause. It may, if going back to the original question, is it helping or hurting the cause of gender equality? It helped him, it helped me, right? But the cause of gender equality did not necessarily get helped by those parameters.
Again, like, see, we are all startup founders here. Even if Tata fails, we can succeed. So the whole point is like, if there is intent to bring gender equality, and founders are superheroes, they can make it do it. Will you support it or not, right? Can you come out of your complexity, and just because you don't want to be called as women founders, what if you take a small hit in your ego and help make the bigger cause succeed? What's wrong with that?
I think we are mixing the topic a little bit, which is that, I mean, the original topic is women founders or just founders, and which of them is helping the cause of gender equality, which to me is a little different from, you know, affirmative action for employing frontline employees, et cetera, et cetera. The minute you are the founder of a startup, you are already in a small percentage of the population. And in that small percentage, do you require affirmative action is the question. As opposed to, for example, you know, let's say on a construction site, should you be trying to do something specifically for the women workers versus the male workers? Yeah, that's a completely different question. So in this socioeconomic strata and education strata of being a founder, do you require affirmative action?
And does it help? Not even require, does it help?
Yeah,
getting
actually,
more
does it
founders.
help is the, yeah, does it help is the question.
A last question to you, actually, to say, we've talked about what doesn't help. But we also know that there are not enough women founders probably out there. I don't have data to back this, but it seems to be the received wisdom. And that we would like to see more women founding companies. So what would actually be, as she said, a market-making mechanism if, you know, investing specifically in women or doing affirmative action is potentially, at least by these women founders, perceived as a market breaking mechanism or market destroying mechanism. So what, in your views, would be a valuable market making mechanism, even if it is targeted towards those who need it more than we do? But what would that be?
We'll probably hear from you guys.
No, so I would actually first ask the question, why do you want more women-founded companies? So is it just that, okay, we just want more women-founded companies?
Economic development of the country, because so much of...
But if the woman is a second-rung employee, how does that develop the country less? So, I mean, so my question is first, what is the purpose behind wanting women-founded companies? And depending on the purpose, the market-making mechanism could be different. So in a village, for example, we often say that a self-help group that is women-driven is likely to be better because of some very specific social reasons of how women might operate that together. And therefore, there are mechanisms that, you know, many people are working on to create women-driven self-help groups. Now, similarly, what is the I think the purpose behind women founders, so if you feel that there is a particular field where women are likely to do better and they're somehow getting lost.
Sorry, the question is that you want more founders per se, right?
Okay, so you want more founders.
You want more founders, you're underrepresented in women, so you're thinking,
sorry,
you want more founders, and
okay.
this whole pool has a non-representational pool. Like if there's so many women who could be founders, there are a very tiny percentage of who are founders. So you're saying, here's a market I could potentially build, but in a way that is not condescending, doesn't make them look any less successful than anybody else, makes them just feel like founders, not women founders. What would this market-making mechanism be that bridges the gap?
Yeah, so to me actually the market-making mechanism might probably come out of segmenting differently. So if you find that, okay, there is a large number of people out there who are not founders, and there could be more, then there might be other segments. So maybe, for example, there are a lot of people from, let's take a segment, tier 2 colleges who are outstanding, but somehow, they don't have that whole network that an IIT, IIM, whatever brings in, and they are not able to push into that group. So what could you do to get the best talent from there? And maybe more of them by chance happen to be women, as you're saying, whatever, right? So that could be a different segment. Similarly, maybe there are people out there whose communication is not great, and therefore VCs don't understand what they're trying to say, whereas the businesses they're trying to build are really high-value businesses, and the VCs are actually missing out on an opportunity to invest because their communication is not great. So could you, do something for people who know how to build a business but don't know how to communicate? Is that a segment? So for me, if you define the segment differently, or even define sub-segments within women, even if you're focused on that, would that allow better market-making mechanisms? Or rather, my hypothesis is that that would allow better market-making mechanisms.
So Joe, just to share one quick data point, this is from a very active fund in US. So what they did was they analyzed their last 10-year investments. And what they came up with was that teams which had women co-founder did 63% better than the teams with all male founders. And this is in terms of valuation, in terms of return. So, yeah.
So that's why you want a woman co-founder.
So that's a data point I thought I'll probably share. And
yeah, so for that reason, yes, please do invest in women co-founded companies.
Would data points like that be the right market-making mechanism? So you identify biases that people have and just use data to clarify those biases?
Yeah, I think it kind of gives you hindsight analysis and also a foresight on what can possibly be a better option, right?
But still, at the end of the day, you'd see me sitting here and you'd say woman founder, and not just great founder of a well-funded, successful
I think again it's all about self-confidence, right? I have heard more women founders telling like, because we are women, we are not getting funded, than male founders telling like, she got funded because she's a woman.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't want to create that environment. But I want to just open it up to the audience to say points of view. Reaching out to all founders and saying, hey, we don't care.
Yeah, I think I just have one point. I think she made an interesting point here that what are we measuring? We are sitting here in Bangalore and saying that there are not enough representation in this group of founders who are women. But you might be missing out because there are a lot of other companies which are being founded by women which are not being represented in this particular council. And maybe you don't have the numbers. I mean, there are a lot of small and medium businesses around, even in our country, that are probably not getting represented here in any of these forums. And you're probably not measuring them. And that's how it is.
Well, if you look at the tier 2 or tier 3 cities of India, mostly the government programs and rules and regulations are encouraging to women. So that is one of the reasons that in these two kind of cities like tier 2 or tier 3 cities, they want a woman co-founder just to get some discounts over the government regulations and also get some advantage in the bank loans. As far as Bangalore kind of city is concerned—
That's a classic market destruction mechanism, right?
Yes,
so, yeah.
exactly. As far as Bangalore is concerned, Bangalore is obviously a tier 1 city. You are here, if you have good business plan and good business model, you can always attract VC, irrespective of whether you are a woman founder or a man founder.
Hi, this is Sandeep. I just want to say that when it comes to business, somebody just gave one simple mantra: keep it simple. And if we look at India, it's the entrepreneurship here is something very new. We are what, in some second decade of entrepreneurship, and expecting that everybody will be at equal level, I think is a little unfair. Give India some time, you will see more women there.
Hi, I'm Shefali, and I mean, I was brought up in an extremely liberal family, and I was treated the way boys are treated in Indian families. So I wasn't exposed to any sort of discrimination at college or at school, amongst my friends. I still haven't faced any sort of discrimination, but I feel very strongly for the cause of women. So I think that it's important, I mean, I want to know from all of you and everybody sitting here that don't you think that when you walk into anything, I mean, it could be to raise funding or it could be into anything, that there are biases attached to you in any case? So does it really matter if you're a woman or a man? Wouldn't so many other things also matter? So why do we blow this particular thing out of proportion? People do judge you based on which school you came from, you know, how rich or poor your family is. Are you a man or a woman? Are you a good-looking man or a woman? Or, you know, there are a million other things. So why do we make this one thing so big? And this is for everybody. This is not just for them.
So I just wanted to leave you with a story. I'm betraying my age, but I'm a veteran of the last .com era, where I used to run the Tata Group's accelerator and e-commerce. I was their e-commerce person. And we had started 5 startups then, out of which one went to exit, right, Series C and then exit. And I was at that time 8 months pregnant. So huge, still VCs were telling me, you know, leave the Tata Group, take $1 million, and I was saying, can't you guys see I'm pregnant? So I didn't see much bias from a VC, even when faced with a very visibly pregnant woman, provided you know what you're talking about. I could get them to forget in the next 5 minutes that I was a woman and that I was pregnant. I could not get the feminists to forget that. Somehow they would always look at me as a woman, and I've reconciled myself to that. Only today did I remember that the one exit that I had was a woman founder. I never thought of it like that. I always thought that that was the one that pivoted to B2B in time. That is the one that made revenue properly. That is the one that didn't chase user numbers. That's why it succeeded. Only today I thought, oh, it was also a woman founder. And I don't think that was the reason it succeeded. So I would actually still say, you know, look at it on its merit, look at the founders on their merit, create organizations that are successful. I think what you're doing makes your organization clearly successful, and the way you guys are thinking. So can we agree that we're all just founders?
But you are supposed to not take sides. You're the moderator.
No, I'm just trying to conclude based on what you've said. I don't think anybody said we're women founders. So.
No, I mean, to react to Shefali's question, I actually do agree that, I mean, gender is just one parameter. And for example, at least from whatever I have seen, poverty is a much, much bigger barrier than gender. And I don't think we talk enough about it at all in these kinds of circles because, frankly, you know, none of us, I mean, we're all sort of part of that tip of the pyramid, which hasn't seen it. So I completely agree with you that, you know, we blow the gender question out of proportion. whereas there are other barriers that the population at large is facing, which we are not putting enough effort to resolve.
No, I think, yeah, so any summing thoughts from any of you? I just did my summing thought. Ramya's done hers, so last thought.
I think, yeah, so we all agree we are founders.
Okay. So thanks so much, guys. We won't keep you any longer. And it's been a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you so much, Umadevi, Ramya, Sujayath, and Joe for moderating the session. Namrata, can we please give them tokens of appreciation from NextBigWhat? Thank you. Can we have a huge round of applause for them, please? Thank you.